Tonight, we're looking into ongoing efforts at the state capitol as lawmakers prepare for the session to come to a close. Oklahoma House Democrats submitting a formal request for a bipartisan investigation into the state superintendent.
This follows numerous calls for action since last August. Fox 25's Tom Ferguson joins us live from the Capitol now with a closer look. So, Tom, why do they think an investigation is needed?
Wendy, they say that State Superintendent Ryan Walters' leadership has been harmful to public education in Oklahoma. With the current legislative session set to end soon, they say the clock's ticking for something like this to get underway.
Oklahomans are beyond ready for us to hold Ryan Walters accountable and protect our public schools.
House Minority Leader Cindy Munson says leadership at the Capitol and the governor's office have yet to hold Ryan Walters accountable, so they're trying to step in. In addition to the request for that committee investigation, they asked the state attorney general's office for an investigative audit into how tax dollars are being spent at the department.
I say if we want accountability, it's time to send in the accountants.
Tulsa Democrat John Waldron says he believes an audit will find evidence of the department not applying for federal grants in violation of state law. We've reached out to the Attorney General's office. A spokesman told us the AG will give the request due consideration before responding.
I hope we see this bipartisan commission formed. It'd be a sign that someone in this government cares about our public schools.
House Democrats are also concerned about Walters' rules tying accreditation to state test scores. They say House leadership stopped an effort to let lawmakers weigh in through a floor vote and now expect the final decision to lie with the governor. An OSTE spokesman is firing back against these statements. He told us in part, quote, "Superintendent Walters will not be bowed by the radical left and neither will the people of Oklahoma." And that resolution can be taken up anytime between now and the end of the session. That's coming up on Friday at 5 p.m. Live at the Capitol, Tom Ferguson, Fox 25 News.
Some state lawmakers are pushing to allow students to receive religious or moral instruction during school hours and receive school credit for it. House Bill 1425 would create guidelines for districts. Kids would be able to be bused off campus for up to 3 hours a week for religious courses, and the bill's author says this kind of instruction would be completely optional and would require a parent to request their child be enrolled. But during a heated debate on the House floor today, some lawmakers argued students shouldn't receive school credit.
You know, as I talked about in the question, we don't allow credits to be given for any other outside organization. None. I could name numerous. I think 4-H does a great job of training and providing instructions. I think Boy Scouts do, Girl Scouts do, but we don't want to give them credits, and all of a sudden we're deciding we can do this. I think this bill is truly setting up our schools to be sued.
By passing House Bill 1425, we can ensure every public school district in Oklahoma has a policy that respects the First Amendment, helps schools avoid violating existing mandates, and respects the authority of local communities. This bill is not a heavy lift. It's not a hard decision. This bill gives guidance to school districts that have parents that want to incorporate religious instruction into their child's daily school day.
The bill passed with a 51-40 vote. However, the emergency attached to the bill failed and now heads to the governor's desk. Another concern for some state lawmakers, the tax credits for Oklahoma families sending their children to private schools have reached capacity less than a year since the program started.
Fox 25's David Chazanoff joins us live from the State Department of Education. So, David, what do they have to say about this?
Adam and Wendy, a spokesman here at OSTE, says this shows the parental demand for school choice. Meanwhile, a lawmaker and a nonprofit wonder what this will mean for families.
As of Wednesday, you'll see a notice at the top of the Oklahoma Tax Commission website. If you click the link for more details, a message pops up saying all funds have been authorized.
We were not surprised. I think it was to be expected.
Aaron Brewer with the Oklahoma Parent Legislative Advocacy Coalition blames the Parental Choice Tax Credit Program reaching capacity on the way it was designed.
So current private school students were as eligible as students who hoped to attend a private school, and the dollars were only going to go so far.
House Speaker Charles McCall admits he also had concerns.
The House was concerned that this would happen, especially in the first year. The House representatives wanted no cap on the program.
Though Speaker McCall says in order to move the program forward, his chamber agreed to the Senate requirements. A cap of $150 million in 2024, $200 million the following year, and $250 million in 2026.
As we suspected and predicted, there's going to be about 8,000 to 9,000 families that have applied for that this year that are not going to be able to receive it because of that cap.
McCall says as the program continued to receive thousands of applications, he tried to increase the cap to $250 million this legislative session. But the Senate was not interested.
Hopefully in the future, it would be my wish that the cap just be removed.
And we reached out to the Tax Commission for more details on what's next, but we did not hear back. Reporting live in Oklahoma City, David Chazanall, Fox 25 News.
David, thank you. Governor Kevin Stitt has vetoed a bill that would have allowed minors charged with aggravated eluding of a peace officer to be held accountable as youthful offenders. Right now, minors charged with aggravated eluding are held as juveniles, which means their punishment is less severe. In his veto of Senate Bill 423, the governor said while they do not condone eluding, this crime, although dangerous, does not belong on a list alongside second-degree murder, kidnapping, rape by instrumentation, or forcible sodomy.
Senate Bill 102 is in the process of a veto override. Governor Kevin Stitt previously vetoed the measure, which would increase police pension and employer contributions. The governor says most retiring law enforcement make well above the average salary of Oklahomans, and he didn't think it was fair while others are struggling right now.
I can't even get a tax cut for Oklahomans, and we want to increase pension plans. I was like, no way, I'm protecting Oklahoma taxpayers. This would be bad for us because politically, everybody was like, oh, Governor, you can't do that because then that looks like the police don't like, that you don't like the police. And that's how they get you to sign all this bad legislation. But somebody has to think about the taxpayer.
Both the House and Senate voted to override the governor's veto today, which means the first section of the bill will become law June 1st of 2025. Section 2 will become law the following month.
A bill that would expand the protest period for initiative petitions is headed to the governor's desk. House Bill 1105 changes the protest period from 10 days to 90 days. State Rep Andy Fugate points out this gives challengers the same amount of time petitioners have to collect signatures.
So effectively, it makes it a half-year process for the people to exercise their own power, and I think that's too long. If we're going to have a half a year, it ought to be an opportunity for people to collect signatures, not for people to protest.
House Bill 1105 originally included a requirement for petition filers to pay a $1,000 fee that would be refunded if the petition met qualifications to be on a ballot. It also would have required those collecting signatures to undergo a criminal background check. But the bill was amended to just include the protest period expansion. Another measure that's headed to the governor's desk is the Women's Bill of Rights. It spells out the definition of a woman, female, and mother, and requires biological women to have separate but equal spaces. State Senator Jessica Garvin says her bill will be used for collecting data, deciding best medical practices, and prohibiting those who are not biologically women from women's public spaces like bathrooms or prisons.
Biological women have the right to feel safe in their spaces that, again, were designed for them.
Advocates have expressed concerns that this will impact the transgender community, but Republicans argue the focus is on protecting biological women.
Advocates raising concerns about barriers surrounding the new Casey alert system. House Bill 1077 went into effect November of last year, implementing the Casey alert system that notifies Oklahomans of missing people aged 18 to 59 in the state, bridging the gap for missing people who are overlooked. The system, named after a 29-year-old Cherokee citizen, Casey Russell, went missing in 2016. Advocates say there are issues preventing the system from working like it's designed to.
And able to get someone on that list to be able to send out an alert. A police report does have to be filed. There's a majority of people who, don't trust law enforcement. So they're not going to file those reports. There are individuals who are going to law enforcement and trying to file reports and they're being denied for, various reasons.
Advocates also say the alerts are not as accessible as they should be.
I will say personally, I haven't received any of those alerts on my phone for missing individuals. And there's not really an easy way to go look up those alerts to see who's currently, missing at this time.
With the KC alert system still being fairly new in the state, advocates hope the issues that some people are facing can be fixed soon.
And that was your big story breakdown. You can learn more about the efforts at the state capitol right now on OKCFox.com.
And if you missed any part of the big story breakdown, you can find it all on our YouTube channel. Just scan the QR code on your screen or search OKC Fox.